Wow. I just realized it is nowhere near nighttime. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Boston Concessions. And I will tell you why it is special because I'm not on at midnight. Yes, contrary to what our TikTok says, I did kind of not. Screw it. I fell asleep. Yes, I'm old. I'm cranky. I'm sometimes moody. And guess what? Yes, I did fall asleep. What does that change for me? Absolutely nothing. But I did promise everybody in the scheme of things that we were going to have a lovely chat. So here we are. Why the 4:30? I did have other things to do in the day. I can't just say, hey, listen, man, I screwed up. I got to do this. And then drop everything and let it go. No. So I'm here at 4:30. If you want to join, cool, great, grand, wonderful. Guess what? We're here. We're going to do our lovely intros with everything. At some point, I am going to create like little intros to the Bruins. I'm going to like do little intros to the Celtics. There's ways I'm basically going to like branch off a little bit more and keep myself a little bit in the scheme of things and how a lot of stuff is going to go. So there's intricate parts of introducing more, and I want to do that. Oh, I don't know if anybody else in Boston has been like dealing with allergies and otherwise, but between it's cold, it's warm, it's sticky, it's mucky, it's shiny, it's wet, it's damp. It's I'm gonna save everybody the M word. I don't care. There's something about the weather in Boston that just drives me up a wall. And I think it's between every state in the New England area where we have the most bipolar of bipolars that go along with everything you can listen to and hear, along the lines of how I don't know why that played. Yeah. But yeah, our bipolar weather is driving my nose and everything else. So if I sound nasally, please excuse me. I don't mean to sound as harsh because I haven't even started talking yet. Yeah, we've got a lot of these lovely, lovely things to cover and a lot of stuff I just basically want to go into, call it a day, and just hey, how's this for Boston chatting? Oof. So trying to figure out which way I want to go. You know something? I'll just run of the mill for the Celtics. Okay, the Celtics. I don't know what happened yesterday, but you kind of missed the key element of closing out a series. Now, the Celtics are playing the 76ers. The 76ers and their lovely fan base stated, we want Boston. Why? Don't know. But you had 5 games to basically put away the aspect and call it a day without Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid came back, dropped 33 points, and the Celtics kind of fizzled in the fourth quarter. Why? Well, when you miss a few attempts and probably just you had a commanding lead in the game. But your field goals in the fourth quarter, 3 of 22, did not really help the fact that you were up by like what, 15, 16, something like that. And then you just disappeared. You could close it out at home. You could rest up a little bit and get ready for the next series. But instead, now you're taking a 3-2 lead back in Philly. I mean, listen, if you want to slap the taste out of Philly's mouth and do everything you want to and more with the idealistic that, like, you kind of want to, like, shove it in their face because, hey, you called for us, we're here, you're doing a damn good job of it. Because now this is where you're going. You're going back to Philly. I'm all for you going to Philly. Do I have a feeling to the fact that, like, you're probably going to close out the series and call it a day? Yes. Is it something along the lines of, oh man, it's a game 6 type atmosphere? Yeah. You know, I just wouldn't want to do it in this manner. At this point, especially with the Celtics, I just want them to close out the series. No playing with your food, no taunting. We all saw what that happened. We all saw what that led to. And we all see what it brings up in the natural form of things. You're bringing up manners that don't need to be brought up. Do you know they called out for you? Yes. Do you really have to play this game? No. We are better than this. We're better on the court. We're better in mind. We're better in how we talk about things. There is no reason whatsoever for you bringing the stage. Now, 113.97 was your final. Was there a whole lot of things to go into? Sure. Okay. If Philly wins, if they win, do you have to bring this up? Of course. But if they win, Game 7 is back in Boston, and man, it's going to be hot in here. Why is this going to Game 7? You are the better team. You are the natural team. You have a healthy Jason Tatum. You have a very healthy Jaylen Brown. You have right now an off-centered shooting Derek White for like the last game, but he's healthy. You have Peyton Pritchard, who is doing things that he's not supposed to and making it look good. You have an all-star cast that is nothing like what LeBron James would ask for, because LeBron is not calling up, hey, do you guys get Hugo Gonzalez? Can I get him? Yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, by the way, Bill Sherman? Yeah, that kid. Okay, can I get him too? Nice. Yeah. These aren't people that LeBron is making a phone call for. They're not his Chris Bosh. They're not his Dwayne Wade. They're not his Anthony Davis. They're nowhere near Russell Westbrook. But these guys do things that are monumental on the court. They bring the presence. They bring something loud, something enticing, something that you want to see. And it's great. Mixed with Tatum and company, it works wonders. So why are you toying with your food? Devour these guys. They're done. Doesn't matter if they bring Embiid back or not. Okay, Embiid being there for Game 6, great. But is he fully 100% healthy? Probably not. So why would you run amok on this? Why would you run anything? Just call it a day. Get the series over with. Move on to your next endeavor and basically carry it out, because if you do anything that is going to bring you to Game 7 and this collapses, what do you do then? Where does this actually end? I don't see it as a positive. That people are going to start questioning the Jays, which they always do. They're going to question Derek White and his age. They're going to question Peyton Pritchard and how he carries himself and what's going to be like that monumental piece in order to balance. Okay. You're going to question things like, the role players and what they have to do in order to get anywhere. Because then for next year, are these role players going to be better? Are they going to be worse? Are they going to be something that you can put forward? Or is it going to be, hey, we got to move on from this guy to get this guy to make things better because we can't lose again in the playoffs? Someone's got to put this together. Okay? We went through this with the Bruins, and we're going through it with the Bruins now. I'll get to them in a little bit. There's things I'm really, really ticked about. There's things I'm okay with. Just a little bit more. Am I disappointed in the Celtics? So, yes. Did I think it was going to go to a game 6? I actually called Celtics in 5. So, am I a little bit kind of about that? Sure. Sure. They need to close. That's the gist of it. But are the ghosts of playoffs past haunting them? Is Jason Tatum taking a step back because of what happened to his leg? Are we seeing things that we missed over the course of playoffs, over a course of time that is now sneaking up and going, oh no, can we not do this? Are we going to, I don't know, relive our moments? Are we going to do what history does, which is repeat itself? I sure hope not. The fact is, the Celtics on paper are a very, very good team. The Celtics live is probably 3 times or 5 times better than what is showing on paper. You could probably go to NBA 2K26 on a video game console. And when you're looking through the Celtics, Tatum, Brown, way up there. Pritchard and company, mid to low. Nemesis Queta is probably like a 69 to a 74. I'm just shooting position here, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. And what's my reasoning? Well, because some people don't know these guys. Some people don't know what to expect out of them, but they know them as role players. Do they think they're hyped beyond their means of what they currently are? No. It's like everything. Like, playing MLB The Show, and you can look at Rafael Devers. Does anybody really think he's like an 81? No, I think he's like a 79. He might be a 79 to 84. You know what he used to be? 87, 92. Power hitter. Hey. It doesn't exist. It's not there. This is where the Celtics can sneak up on people. You have so much more. And then some. I want to see the Celtics go into something that means a little bit more than just, we're going home. You finished second in the ALE, I mean in the Eastern Conference, your tally is supposed to be monumental in everything that you're doing. Where the hell are the Boston Celtics? Can someone tell me? They better show up for game 6. Because you did not get it done. Another team got it done. But you didn't. This is playoffs, folks. I say it all the time. Playoffs is a different animal. If you roam in my podcast and you understand what I do and how I carry myself, I will say it in every juncture. Playoffs are a different species. They are not the same as your regular run-of-the-mill regular season. There's a reason why it's called regular season. Playoffs shift you into a different time zone. Your players are different. Your attitude is different. The way you carry yourself is different. Everything is different. There is nothing that goes in a standardized piece of wanting to talk about playoff caliber teams, because there are some guys that just make it. There's some guys that, they work really hard. They get where they are. They're middle to like low end of the totem pole. They don't come in on a wild card, but they come in under the presence of, hey, this is where we're at. And then they dominate. Because you took the relaxing road to the playoffs. You didn't have to be the best. You weren't the worst. But somewhere along the lines, you didn't release your full potential. The playoffs can do that. The Celtics have still so much more potential. You saw it in game 1. You saw it in game 3. You saw the dominance piece in game 4. They missed something in game 5. So now you're off to game 6. You're going to be in front of Philly. Hey, tease the fans. Make the fans work for it. It's basically what they're going to do. I am going to go on a lighter note. There is something that was brought to my attention that I'm a little excited for, and if you want a little bit, here it is. So, the PWHL, which is the Pro Women's Hockey League, are starting the playoffs. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Songus Arena, which is in Boston. Well, Songus Arena. It's in the Boston area. I believe it's in Lowell. Am I saying that right? Songus Arena, yes, it is in Lowell. It's a smaller type stadium. It is nothing pushy. It does house an amazing cast. I believe I even saw George Carlin there one year, which shows a lot for me. The cool aspect, I've talked to a lot of people that have actually gone to the Boston Fleet games, and they've said they're monumental. They're wonderful. They're worthwhile to check out. Just the atmosphere is so resonating. And when you sit here thinking about it, I know I've always seen women's college. I've seen men's college, like hockey, and it's an experience nonetheless. But taking women's hockey to a pro level is kind of like taking that college level to another plateau, and it's great. It's worthwhile. It's worth checking out. And if you're a hockey fan itself, it'll probably be one of the really coolest things you've seen. Because where you don't expect a lot out of it, and then you get everything plus popcorn and a drink, it's kind of worthwhile to check out, don't you think? And I'm not saying it because, oh man, like, I got to talk about every sport. It's one of those things. Think of it on the level of where we were 5 years ago when like women's pro sports were barely around. I mean, yeah, you had the WNBA, and yes, we've talked about the WNBA. We've talked about Angel Reese. We've talked about. Once I get an itch and I put my hand upon my face. We've talked about Angel Reese. We've talked about Caitlin Clark. We've talked about like a lot of things that have basically gone on in the WNBA, but I've never talked about women's hockey. If you've seen a lot of things in women's hockey, especially, if you remember the first woman, to like actually lace up for hockey, it was Marion Reaume, where she was the goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning in preseason games. And she's still somewhere in hockey. That should tell you something. I mean, this woman's like a silver medalist. She's the first woman in the NHL. It doesn't matter if it's a preseason exhibition game. These are things you have to take in a stride. I mean, hell, she was hired in 2022 as a hockey operations and prospect advisor for the Kings. So, give it top tier. Women are exploding in sports. So, take heed. If you can look it up, cool. Thursday, April 30th at 7 o'clock. Go check it out if you can actually watch it. Believe tickets are even not bad. So, I mean, you could probably get them for like dirt cheap. Worthwhile hockey game, $50. How do you say no? If I was off, I'd be like, today. So they will take on the Ottawa Charge, the best of 5 semifinal series. And then off to like the next round, and hey, it's good for the atmosphere. Which way do I want to go? Which way do I want to go? One to beat. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of want to save that for last, but I kind of want to do it now. But I also know to the fact I'm going to run amok with like the other thing I'm trying to talk about. You know what I mean? It's kind of like having, do you get peanut butter and jelly, or do you add a little bit of fluff and like do the dance? It's loaded with like that extra added sugar, but it's so tasty. Which way? We'll go this way. Welcome to the Boston Red Sox. So, yes, we are looking at the Red Sox. Now, I'm excited beyond anything. And if you really want to, if anybody's seen my TikToks, if anybody has seen me gone completely postal, shocking, everything, I've been waiting 3+ years to say these words. And one of the biggest things I was ever going to say on this podcast can officially be said. On the 25th of April in the year 2026, Alexander Cora has been terminated. Good. Good riddance to shit. I've been watching, I've been listening, I've been praising, I've been going on and on, looking at everybody making a comment. And the only thing that I can kind of like put on a essay going on any which way, who reviews this crap? Well, shits. Creamy shits. No. It's Alex freaking Cora. For years, I've been hounding every single person. This man does not belong as a managerial candidate. This man does not belong coaching a team, especially with young ones. This man has no boundaries or basis to be a manager ever again. Unless he's coaching a team with LeBron James and they're bringing on like monumental players in order to play, and he's doing, I don't know, an American League or National League All-Star team. Because he doesn't have to worry about the young players playing. He doesn't have to worry about all the other people getting involved with things that don't belong to him. And a few people have said it. I'll give praise to Joe Murray. I'll give praise to other people who have said it, returned it, and made it their own. There is something strong and warm. I just realized what I said, and that's not where I wanted to go. But when you look upon Alex Cora's tenure and seen how kind of boisterous and loud and demanding of certain things in his prowess of being the coach that he is, he's not anything that you care to write home about. Alex Cora is Alex Cora. He's going to be Alex Cora. Does he care about players? No. Does he care about his players? Yes. Does he care about people that aren't Cora guys? No. We saw that. You know when I finally officially gave up on Alex Cora? When he gave up on Andrew Benintendi, because according to him, he couldn't hit. He couldn't run anymore. He couldn't get the groove of what he used to be before he got injured during the 2020 season. Yes, COVID. That shrunk season that made Jackie Bradley's batting average look like it was a monumental feat. It really wasn't. But the reason I bring up Benintendi was because he was never a Cora guy. He didn't act it, but Cora dismissed him, got rid of him, dumped him. And where did it go from there? Well, you kind of like swung into the fact that like Benintendi went to the Royals, and all of a sudden, without Cora, he could hit. He could run. He could do everything he could do. Why would that be? Oh, could he have healed? But let's take Alex Cora's word for it. No, he was bad. He needed to go. He was not anything you wanted to be. So I asked AI in Google. I kind of want to have that as a background now because this is a prohibited area of Alex Cora. And the proof is in the pudding. Alex Cora had basically what I want to say head issues. His head was bigger than what he was. During the whole instance last year, when all you had to do was talk to about a third baseman, and when you talked to a third baseman and said, hey, we're going to move you to first, we're going to treat you as you are, we're going to roam and do everything we need to, but we want you to be supportive. All you had to do was have support from your manager. That never happened. So did you kind of lose out on your third baseman, and now he's in San Francisco, and everybody sits there and states to the fact that you traded him for a bag of balls? Cool. I don't think so. I'm trying to find Rafael Devers for his stats. So his stats are basically, I mean, they're shit. The 2026 season is basically, I mean, there's people sitting there calling him like the third worst player in MLB right now. Rafael Devers is pretty much like worse than Jackie Bradley. So Rafael Devers, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because someone brought up Caleb Durbin to me. Now, Caleb Durbin is 26 years old, where Rafael Devers is 29. So the curiosity to why I bring up Caleb Durbin, and I also bring up Rafael Devers, Caleb Durbin was shunned for an 0-16 start. So he's pretty much starting like Rafi Devers. But Caleb Durbin's ceiling still has like an open plateau to where, like, you get that opening, you can just kind of open up, get a breeze, and be like, hey, we can sneak out and go a little bit further. But I wanted to introduce this to you, though. It's like, the stats for Caleb Durbin, he's batting 168. He's got a 1 home run, 11 RBIs. But he also has 16 hits. Now, he came over from Milwaukee because Milwaukee didn't really have strong feelings for him. And Caleb's kind of been a little bit more of a focus aspect, especially of late, where his average seems to go up because he's actually starting to surge. But then it got me thinking about Rafi Devers. A big-time money man. He's batting .211. He's got 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 24 hits. He is on the pike with Caleb Durbin for how to be in this aspect. And it's kind of shocking when you sit there thinking about it, because Rafi Devers' stat should be like 260, 270. He should also be like where he was before, like coming close to 300. His home runs should be 4 times the amount of the 2 that he currently has. His RBIs should be way larger, probably about 6 times the RBIs, because especially in San Francisco, he should be a double machine. And 24 hits is child's play compared to a man getting paid what he does. So when you look at his stats against the Phillies, no hits, no home runs, and that was yesterday's game. He's had 2 home runs since I think the beginning of the year when he just barely made one and had an issue with the other. Shocking. So why do I bring this up? Because the woes of Alex Cora are going to continue because that's all connected. Because Alex Cora probably wanted Rafael Devers. Didn't want to get rid of him, didn't want to do a lot. Like, what did he do? He barked. He barked and barked and barked and wanted control. When this man, who is now public enemy number 1 for whatever reason, and I'm not going to sit here and defend Craig Breslow. Let's get one thing easily straight when we're talking about the Breds. This man called for Alex Cora to be gone. I am happy for that. And I believe when he first got here, Alex Cora was pushy and marky because he wanted to be the man in control. Because I think that's why nobody wanted to come to Boston. Because it was stated, you come to Boston, you have to deal with Alex Cora in that clubhouse. Should you deal with your manager in any which way, especially when you are, the baseball operations guy, or you're the head honcho who calls the shots? In my eyes, no. Alex Cora is not bigger than Craig Breslow. And when Alex Cora plays monumental heat boy on Craig Breslow, it looks bad for anybody. She's carried himself in this manner for years. And did management do anything? No. They pulled the wool over our eyes when he was banned from baseball for a year. Management said, "Oh, we'll part ways. We'll part ways." Ron Lennicky came in. Ron Lennicky didn't do a horrible job, but as an interim manager, what are you expecting to do? Are you going to be a superstar? No. Are you going to be a monumental player? Well, you're going to try your best. Are you going to blow people out of the water with your coaching stability? No. So he went 1 year, and then it was time for the search. I wish I had this podcast, because a lot of times when people came to me, "Oh, dude, who do you think's going to be the manager?" I'm hoping it's not Alex Cora. No, wait, they parted ways with him. I was like, I know. I just hope it's not Alex Cora. Why did I hope it wasn't Alex Cora? Because Alex, to me, was a cheater. He cheated. He cheated in Houston. He cheated in Boston. He got caught. He's serving a time, which I grant him, that it did not belong anymore in Boston. It should have parted ways and called it a day. But no, they brought him back. And you know what hurts when you see stuff like this? It hurts me because when Corey is even talked about to be the manager of this team, I was on board. I was supportive. It was one of those, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the support feature, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm for that. I'm okay with that. And then the stuff from Houston came out. I'm not for that. If I knew then what I know now, I would not have put my head, well, my agreement in any which way in for Alex Cora. But it never happened. And it was when it was official and it was stated, oh, well, Alex Cora is coming back. I blatantly said it. I will not watch another Red Sox game until Alex Cora is gone. I even said it to Tony Maserati, who asked how people felt about the Red Sox and their direction with going into the new season with the second coming of Alex Cora. And I was very specific. I will not support or condone a cheater. I will not condone anything along the lines of what Alex Cora has done or otherwise, that this is now the monumental piece that Boston has gone on. I'm not watching the game. The only game I did watch, and it was for a reason, was when Chris Sale officially came back from injury. I watched that game because I have love for Chris Sale. One of my favorite pitchers of this day. And my hat off to him because he came back from injury and played a monumental game, and I got to watch it. And then when I started this podcast and I started talking about sports again, I said, I'm still not going to watch a Red Sox game, but highlights, Sox in 2, certain other things. I'll check a couple things just to see how the game went, but I am not watching a full game due to Alex Cora being there. And I kept my promise. It was a joy, an absolute joy, when I finally found out to the fact that he was fired. And then I will say, like, in this manner, I called my mom. My mom's a big Sox nut. She'll watch any sport. And it was very specific when my mom was like, so what happened today? And then my comment to my mom was, ding dong, the dick is gone. And first off, she thought I lost my thing, and and they go the grandkids. I had to assure, no, Mom, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Alex Cora. So, whoa, what happened to Cora? He's gone. He's fired. See ya. And my mom was a big supporter of Cora. But she was also a big supporter of Alex Verdugo. So when he started the whole thing, especially when Verdugo had that 16-game hitting streak, and then he just did something wrong, and then Alex sat him, and it was like, yeah, you're not getting back in the game. It's like, huh? Like, what are you doing? Where is your ego? Settle the freak down. Put the guy in the game. He needs to get a hit. Nope, my mom wrote him off at that point. And it's good reason. That shows of the prohibited area of no Alex Cora. Because he should not be welcomed anywhere. Listen, you can thank him for 2018 all you want. But is there cheating? Is there some scandal? Is there something you want to tell us? Is there something lurking behind those eyes that nobody knows about because they didn't catch it? I'm happy Cora's gone. And, looking at it now, I mean, like the Red Sox are losing 7-1 to Toronto right now. And they kind of have like the same records. One's 12-18, one's 13-16. The AL East just looks like, I don't know, bunky cardboard right now. I don't even think anything is like really great within what's going on. It's a pure rubber match. Wilson Contreras has another home run. Wilson Contreras is actually shocking me. Contreras is actually looking like Wilson Contreras. He looks really good. He's got the hits. He's been like on a home run factor. It's been great. I'm kind of like I really want to know what's happening with Brian Bello. It's kind of like he's falling apart. Greg Weissert has looked like trash. Those are the two guys. Brian Bello went 3.2 innings. Greg Weissert went 0.2 innings. And Giovanni Moran is a 2.2 innings. He's got an earned run. But Bellows got 6 hits, 4 earned runs. And then Weissert, for the 0.2 innings he pitched, he let up 2 runs. And you can't tag him on Bello because Weisert's crap. But he just hasn't looked good. Ernie Clement hitting a home run for the Jays. That's 2 RBIs. Okamoto's got 2 RBIs. Panaggio, George Springer, Miles Straw. I mean, George Springer's back in the lineup. He pinch hit for the DH. You look at even Big Bad Vlad Jr. 3 hits, 3 at bats, 2 runs. That man knows where to go. For me, I expected a little bit better with the Red Sox, especially with how they started the year. And if you run down the year that they've basically done, and then Chad Tracy taking over now, where's your point? Where's your logic? Where's everything's sense of like what you're doing? I mean, we get it. Granted, it was Craig Breslow was the construct of firing Alex Cora, getting rid of him, and I'm for that because he needed to get rid of him. I thought he was going last year, or beginning of last year when Breslow took over, and a lot of other things were going on because the switch and change up to what the expectation would have been for a first year GM or the baseball director, whatever the hell his title is, I don't know. He's a CEO salted a SWAT that sits in a boardroom. I don't know. The idea is Breslow, I think, wanted to do his own terms. He wanted to do his own thing. I think management looked at him and said, listen, we need you to come in and we need you to focus on building a team. And Breslow started to build something monumental when it came down to like working with the Cubs. So he was an intricate part in like everything that was going on in Chicago. And then he breaks off and comes into Boston. It's like, cool, great. Let's talk about it. But you kind of kept the idea of Alex Cora. And that first monumental year that it was supposed to be working together, getting things done, handling everything to where you're getting the right players, you're getting the right motions. I think Cora and Breslow were over here with each other, like way off to the left and way off to the right. And nobody had a solution in order to come front and center and face that. And when that happened, yeah, you saw a lot of Cora, and you saw how it affected him, how he treated the team, how he basically controlled the team. From somewhere in July on, the Red Sox of last year blew up monumentally. I don't mean to use this word monumentally a lot, but the Red Sox, again, in July, they blew up. They started hitting like crazy. They started making moves. They started focusing. Trevor Story was a 20-20-20 guy. All this was happening. And you mean to tell me losing 2 to 3 pieces or 4 pieces makes you all of a sudden drop down to whatever the hell you started with this year? Yeah, you lost Alex Bregman. What has Alex Bregman done recently? That's a real big question. Huh. Well, we'll give him credit. He's batting .256. He's got 3 home runs. He's got 11 RBIs. He's got 31 hits. The only thing he's basically done is basically had an average. And the wonderful part, well, there's an article from Meredith Perry on Mass Live that states, well, if I can get rid of the National Grid friggin' thing. Before Bregman opted out of his deal with the Sox, before he signed a 5-year deal with the Cubs, he defended several of the coaches Boston fired over the weekend. So I guess when you come into play and you're basically stating, hey, there's great pieces upon, like, the coaching staff that's going on, and yeah, you go back to like what Bregman did. He was an all-star level. He had one of his best seasons since 2019 when he made the all-star team with the Astros. And they put it perfectly. Bregman declined to comment, but he's got all the love in the world for the guys. And yeah, like, you can help out a guy and get really good. And there's something that states, you could have had Bregman back. Well, what part of Bregman were you getting? Were you getting something good? Were you getting something bad? Were you getting something that just didn't match? And I think that's also why they went out and got Caleb Durbin. I think that's also why, when you look at what the Red Sox did, they took the money that they would have spent on Alex Bregman and they went and got Ranger Suarez. Now, did they need third base coverage? No. Going out to get Caleb Durbin was basically a defense. You had Marcelo Meyer who could go over there, who's been playing like a little bit of everywhere right now. You have a pitcher that you desperately needed, that could go either way, because if he goes down with injury, then it's all sorts of done. And then even adding to like the weight right now, where you've got rotation issues going on. You've got Sonny Gray down with a hamstring. You just got word on the 15-day DL stint for Garrett Crochet, who's got left shoulder inflammation that's active to retroactive to the 26th. So there's 2 of your pitchers down. You've got Brian Bello, who's not showing like what he needs. He's basically stumming it out. Peyton Toley's initial introduction into the lineup for Sonny Gray was fantastic. He got shelled yesterday by the Blue Jays. Um, there's a lot of pieces that you have to like look at now that would Alex Bregman have made sense? Because Ranger Suarez wouldn't be here. You'd have issues with pitching, and you'd be down like things going on. But in the essence of losing Corey, you now take up your Worcester Red Sox manager, who's from AAA. You bring up Chad Tracy. He's taken over as interim manager. He's got a lot of interim coaches that have come up. And now sitting here, is Tracy going to be your permanent fix? Or is he just a placeholder for something big? Because who do you get now? My initial interaction was when the initial firings happened. It was stated that everybody down to except for the pitching coach of Andrew Bailey was safe and secure out the door. And that included Jason Varitek. Now, it was then stated to the fact that the Red Sox were keeping Varitek but putting him on a different plateau or a specific assignment. And it was never confirmed or denied if to the fact that he declined the assignment or if they were just dismissing the assignment. One was going on with the other, and it was basically that Varitek was now out. When I knew to the fact that the assignment was happening, I wondered if there was something specific that they were giving Varitek. Were they giving him time? Were they giving him focus? Were they giving him like a little bit of understanding that, hey, you need to get yourself like prepped up because we're going to have this interim coach and then we're going to involve you. I thought that's where he was going. I thought they were going to bring him in and have him as your new manager going forth either for the 2027 season or take over at the All-Star break, which is the halfway point of the season, and basically call this a test theory to run with the team, and then 2027, you just instantly run amok with it. And personally, I think Tech would have been great. Why would I have thought Jason Varitek would have been great in this situation? Since he was traded from Seattle to Boston, he has had monumental trainings with everybody involved, from the pitching staff to the fielding. He's always grown into that type of player, and it's always been stated this man is going to go somewhere and become a major league manager. He just had it about him. Now, I think it was last year, the year before, it was basically his wife made a Twitter comment, and the Twitter comment was as follows: why Boston is letting my husband run away when you don't know what you're losing. And yes, Varitek was interviewing with the San Francisco Giants. He was interviewing for like certain titles that also in the run to become some sort of management type capability. And the Red Sox said, no, we don't want you to go anywhere, and did everything they could. And I think even created a position where Varitek was here. So why are you doing that? And then all of a sudden you're dismissing the man. This is the man that did a lot for Boston. This is the man that stuck his glove in A-Rod's face. You don't get no better than that. That is Alex Rodriguez getting stuffed in the face by Jason Varitek. And that photo is everywhere. That's the biggest photo in the world, aside from Pedro Martinez throwing Don Zimmer down by the head. Why is Tech gone? I don't think that had to do with Breslow, because I think Breslow left it at the level of, we need to let Cora go, and people saw, okay, you need to let Cora go, but this trickling down effect needs to get out the door. And the coaching this year was not up to par. The manner of how it was handled was not well. Everything else was just bootsy. You can understand why everybody was gone. Look, if I was a Cora guy, could I understand his argument with wanting to control the team? Sure. But you can't go into your boss's office and say, you need to do this now. We need this now. You're not touching that player now. If anybody's seen Moneyball, you know that happened to the coach for the Oakland A's. Oh, yeah, we're not doing it this way. Well, why not? All right, we're going to get rid of this guy, this guy, this guy. See ya. We're not going to do this, do this, do this. We're going to do this. See ya. Now you've got to play our guys. Now you've got to play everything. The coach played ball, and it was fine. But Cora didn't have that attitude. You got rid of this, you got rid of this, I'm not playing him. And he didn't. You know, I said it at the beginning when I was like, why is Marcelo Meyer sitting out game 1 of the season? And the comment somebody made, oh, Marcelo Meyer can't hit well against lefties. Who the hell said that? Oh, that was an Alex Cora thing. And then there's one day he played against a lefty. And I think he was 2 for 3. He had a decent game. And I'm looking back to game 1, and I'm looking back at this game where he had to face a lefty, and he did good. And I'm like, people root for this guy. And this is what you get. This doesn't make sense. Nothing of this makes sense. I'm happy he's gone. I really am. Because to me, I could care less. And let it be known, it is 7-1, bottom of the 8th. Yeah, it looks like Garrett Whitlock is now in. Me can't win them all. I mean, Chad Tracy's going to be 3-2. It's better. It's better than what was going on, and it was also in every aspect way better than how you started the season with Alex Cora. You know, so got to take that in stride for what it is. That the biggest thing, while we have the Red Sox going on, before I switch over to the Bruins and then go on my heavy, there is a point I want you guys to understand. SSBN's own Steve Scott, he officially made the win of wins. When Steve Scott makes a comment, and this radiates everywhere, and it makes a monumental thing. By the way, it's 8-1 now, Blue Jays. But this makes a monumental piece that makes you wonder about where the Red Sox actually went wrong. Steve Scott's post was exactly this on X. Red Sox have been in a downward spiral since they fired Don Orsillo. Let that marinate somewhere in your head that this man just basically hit the ball over Lansdowne, and it is still flying over the Mass Pike as we speak. No honest post has ever been so intricate in what you can say. And what made this great? I'll tell you what made it great. When you have Barstool's own, the Stool Presidente, when you have Dave Portnoy retweeting the tweet and saying also true, that radiates throughout everything. And I'm not just talking about the Dave Portnoy comment. Okay? I'm talking about the Steve Scott comment. Steve Scott is a love to us because he is SSBN heart and gold, and we love him to death. Okay? He is our intricate X factor that, like, just basically blurts out whatever he wants and makes comments and goals to however he feels. And we love him for it. But when he makes something like that, and then you stop to think about it, and you think about what the Red Sox have basically done to Don Orsillo, how you got rid of him to replace him with Dave O'Brien, who's been nothing but garbage on Nesson for the Red Sox, who's now officially retiring, and I'm talking about Dave O'Brien. And now the rumor is with Dave O'Brien retiring, you're going to bring back Don Orsillo to the Sox booth. If that happens, I'm all for, and I'll do backflips for it because I love Don. Don Orsillo is gold. He's a wonderful, warm heart. He's everything you ever want in the moment. Just listening to him call games is so enchanting. And yes, it seems like I'm fanboying, and also I have a love-struck aspect for Don Orsillo. But look at Don Orsillo as a human being. He's great. He's wonderful. He's everything you want and then some. So, yeah, when people are sitting there like, oh, well, Dave O'Brien's out by the end of the year, bring back Don Orsillo. It'd be great. But does anybody remember what the Red Sox did to Don Orsillo when his best friend and also his colleague and partner passed away from cancer? You basically wrote the guy off. You wouldn't even let him have a eulogy piece against his best friend because the Red Sox were playing the best friend card, but yet Don Orsillo's sitting there I am the best friend. You fried this guy for no reason, and you left him hanging. If I'm Don Orsillo and the Red Sox coming to me, oh, you want to come back? I'm flipping you off. I'm telling you straight up, fuck you, get out of here. I don't want to see you. That's me. Don Orsillo will probably be a nice guy and just say, nope, I respectfully decline. Or he comes back and says, I told you. But think of everything that Steve Scott had stated in that one intricate part. The Red Sox have mentally collapsed. A lot of their games have just been nothing. No notes, no newsworthies, nothing. You had to get rid of a lot of your guys. You had to get rid of a lot of your players. You had to make or break with a lot of things that basically were going on. You fell from grace. And you keep on falling since Don Orsillo went goodbye. Steve Scott, I hat off to you, sir. Beautiful tweet. Beautiful. And it steams power. When you know what you're talking about, when it comes to the Red Sox, when it comes to anything else, it screams right there that, yeah, that shows you pay attention. And don't get it wrong. Steve Scott goes to every opening day game. So when he knows the Sox, he's up there with Big Al when I talk like about Red Sox. You know? And to Dave Portnoy, thank you for giving Steve his intricate moment in space and time. Cause you go on Twitter and he still drools over it. It's great. So I'm happy for it. Oh, dear God. It's 8-1 still in the top of the ninth. But I got to transition. I got to transition because we're almost got to wrap up. But I know I'm going to go on in a little bit because I've got a lot to say about like this whole thing. And a lot of this stuff is not going to be something. So we're switching to the Bruins. And I know a lot of people want to hear my take on the Bruins. I made it apparent last time we were out, and last time we were here, that I said Sabres in 6. I'm not fooling. I still believe the Sabres are going to take the series. They're going to come back to Boston and they're going to like destroy us. This is a wonderful piece. And I'm going to use my heart and soul in talking about this because there is something I made last night and there's something I sent. There is something I sent to a friend of mine and I was going to save it for the podcast. I was going to introduce it last night before I fell asleep. And it still moves mountains in my mind when I look at the picture I made and I just kind of laugh. I didn't make the graphic right now, the final score 2-1 Boston. But if you watched that Bruins game in its entirety, there were so many chances, so many things, but there were also so many turnovers. It's not apple. It's not cherry. It's not lemon. No, it's Bruin. Welcome to the Bruin turnovers. These delectable soft treats can actually throw any puck off for any day. And feel free to get them by the 6s, the 12s. You can get them however you want. You can even get them warmed up. They are intricately part of your balanced breakfast. With tea, without tea. I'm sitting there thinking of tea. I'm like, a Boston Tea Party, and you're having you're having a turnover. Yeah. I saw so many of these things. You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of just going through the motions where anything you're doing, you're seeing the Bruins just turn over the puck. Hey, trying to get out of the zone, turnover. Hey, I'm passing over here, turnover. And I'm stating that Buffalo is that team. But it doesn't help when you're helping them by giving them the puck. I really want to know how many turnovers will in the game. By the way, final 8-1 Blue Jays. That game's over. How many turnovers did the Bruins have last night? That's perfect. 17. No, wait, that was in the game 4 loss. That was in the game 4 loss. Oh yeah, I almost shit a brick. That can't be right. That can't be right. They don't have a number. The only thing anybody wants to tell you is that they cleaned up their turnovers. But they don't want to tell you how many because it may be horrible. I mean, StatMuse is showing 1,300 for the season, which is disgusting. But it's still an issue when you have turnovers that badly, and especially when you go back to like the game 4 loss as to why you lost in their home building of 17 giveaways, which are turnovers. I wonder, like, if I call them giveaways. In game 5. Okay, so they had 7. They had 19 giveaways over 11 games in their 2024 postseason. They had 7. You know what that means? Go back to this and draw this conclusion. 19 over 11 games. And then 7 in game 5 and 17 the night before. You know what that means? Like, you had 19 and 11 games and you had that amount in 2. That's why the turnovers are there. Get them now. Their operators are standing by. You want your flaky Bruins crust? There it is. But that's... I understand, like, you're passing the puck, you're doing certain things, you're making a monumental, like, mountain out of a molehill, but oh my God. I looked up stats and everything. They're calling this a dogfight with them, considering, like, first off, it was an overtime win. Secondly, I got really nervous for one of the moments because when my dad mentioned, Pasternak was just coming off the bench. Really, where? You know what I noticed when Pasternak came off the bench? He went the wrong way. There's 2 things I see to that. Pasternak went to the other blue line, and luckily, the Bruins tapped it right to him. That got him to where he needed to be and netted the goal. Great job. What happens if the Sabres got that, revert into the area, and scored? I'm not meaning to be like one of the guys from, like, sports talk radio in Boston and everything like that, and think negative Nancy. Because, like I said, this is basically Sabres in 6. I'm calling it, and the Sabres have to come back to Boston in order to do this. So here's game 6. Here's where they're going. They're coming here. But get to the aspect at hand. Why did David Pastrnak go for the offensive blue line instead of going to the defensive blue line when the puck was in the defensive zone? This is where he's been called out all the time. Why are you over there? Yes, it paid off. I'm glad it paid off. And there's a part of me that hopes to the fact that Sabres in 6 is completely wrong. But a lot of times, and I know my friend Mike is out there one day, and he's going to listen to this. Okay? It starts off with me being wrong, and then reverts to me being right. Game 1 was exactly that moment. Because the Bruins were up, everything was hunky-dory, and then they fell straight apart in the third period. Oh, and by the way, we're going to back up a little bit because I'm going to get a little bit serious of a moment. Everybody ready? Because for me, I'm going to get a little loud with this one. I made a comment to every Bruins fan about Jeremy Swayman. And my comment was directly that you were going to start treating him like Tuukka Rask, and he was going to be the monumental garbage heap that you just want to make comments about. And I said, if you want to make a dead weight comment about Jeremy Swayman, you have to get the understanding of his team and him. And then Jeremy Swayman had some intricate series, and then had a bad year, and then had this year. And it's still, you go on you go on the Boston Bruins Facebook page, you go on bostonbruins.com where people comment and chime, and you go into any intricate series of goalies and everything that people talk about, ESPN chat rooms, you name it, they go for it. And what's the one thing you hear every single time? Jeremy Swayman is not a top tier goalie. The only reason why the Bruins were not blown out in 4 games is because of Jeremy Swayman. Jeremy Swayman has given everything, especially with that deep loss, which is why he got pissed. You could tell, you'd see his emotion, you could see everything on his sleeve. When you break down in front of your goalie can only do so much. And that's where you need his stamina. You need his energy. And if you're going to break him through every game, you're not going to survive. You did it in game 1 where you broke down in the third period. You did it in game 4 where you tossed amounts of turnovers and Jeremy Swayman paid for it. Don't sit here and mock the process in any which way, shape, or form, because when you think you know a goalie and you want to sit there and blame them for everything, guess what, you fucking pasty-faced moron? You don't know shit about hockey. This isn't the aspect of when you sit there and look at a goalie and, oh my God, something happens, we're going to blame him because he let it up. No, look up how many turnovers that Pastrnak let, and you still are okay with him. Okay? Look at Logan Geeky, how he's played lately. Get on his ass. get on the whole friggin' team for letting their goalie down, who's been their number one supporter since they walked into this playoff role. And you fans who sit there mocking a goalie that's busting his rear end and his ass to make sure you can at least survive. And guess what? I'll show you the stick in the mud. The goalie that you guys so half-heartedly blame, shunder, and do everything to is one of 3 Vezina finalists for the year. So if he's so bad, why is he rated? Why is he one of the 3 that are getting called to be the Vezina Trophy finalist? To even look at the other 2 names is amazing. Sorokin and Vasilevsky. Those are your other 2. Big names. And yet Jeremy Swayman's in the conversation with them. Does this ring a bell to anybody? How about fast forward to Tuukka Rask? Rask did exactly this. He proved everybody wrong and he busted his rear end. When they went for the cup in 2013, he was right there. 2017, I believe it was, and he grinded. And he was one of the best goalies in the playoffs. You couldn't touch him. And his team showed their injuries and everything when they got to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because they broke in front of him. So Tuukka Rask didn't get the coveted cup he should have gotten. And then fast forward to COVID. He was the goalie of goalies up until COVID and up until the season stopped. He was someone who was on. He's got 5 cylinders. He kicked it into 8 and was given everything in the regular season. And he was primed to go into the playoffs to take a run. COVID hit. What are you all going to say if Swayman even is the number 2 pick for the Vezina? Hell, what the fuck are you yahoos going to say if he's the first? He doesn't have the best team in front of him. Sorokin and I want to call him Vasilevsky because that's usually what I call him. Vasilevsky's the other one. They have good teams. They have balance. I'll tell you straight up, like looking at this. Sorokin, he's had 6 times he's been a Vezina Trophy finalist. And he was with the Islanders. So, yeah. Well, I mean, look at what the Islanders did. And then let's fast forward to the other guy. I'm trying to get everything here. He's another Russian for Tampa Bay. He's 31 years old. So, yeah, it's pretty damn good teams. Considered, yeah, they're battling with Montreal right now in Tampa Bay. And then I believe the Islanders basically went home. Yep. But the Islanders were all the way down. But their goaltender kept them in it. Yeah. Wonderful. But let's mock our guy. Let's mock everything. Because here's a question I can literally ask. With a Vezina Trophy finalist and everything that Jeremy Swayman has done this year for comeback from last year's debacle, can the Bruins carry the momentum of the overtime win? Or is Buffalo's dangerous offense going to wake back up and basically sting them? Because this was one game where the turnovers were ice cold. And game 4, they were piping hot. What's game 6 going to bring? Is it going to bring a vast amount of turnovers again? Is Chef Sturm going to roast up the flakiness of flakies like that's going to sit in the bakery for like a long period of time? Or are they just going to shovel off the Buffalo and be served for everyone to like actually have? If those turnovers come up, it's lights out for Boston. And my game 6 win is intact. Am I going to be happy about it? No. I won't be happy about it. If anybody really wants my honest opinion when I break this down, it's simple. I believe in my Bruins. But I'm realistic when I called Sabres in 6. Game 1 showed it. Game 4 showed it. And I still to this day will state under any circumstances, Marco, your slip is showing. Because I don't want to buy a turnover. I want to buy a win. I want to go to the next round. I would like the Bruins to get into the playoffs, which they did. I also want the Bruins to get to the second round. Hell, I would love for them to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I can say that as a Bruins fan. I want them to make the Stanley Cup Finals. I want them to be like exactly where they need to be. I want them to win. I want them to be champions. I also have to live in the real world where turnovers, yet tasty, are not an everyday treat. I've just turned this into like a food-loving bath. Woo! Ah. I don't know. What part of this did anybody like, get to sting around with? Was it the fact of how I like labeled everybody because of how they treated Swayman? Because I knew it. I knew this was going to be a Swayman act. I knew this was going to be like a Swayman, like, a get on of every epic proportion because The minute he signed his deal, he was public enemy number one to like 2/3 of the Bruins fans out there because they didn't want to deal with his contract and didn't think he was lively. But yet Pasternak, yeah, he scored the game-winning goal. Congratulations. But again, I still want to know why you broke for the offensive blue line instead of breaking for your own blue line to play defense. It's a good question. It's what I want to know. Oh, it's Wednesday. I'll have to save everything for Friday, Saturday. When things go awry and we know where the Bruins lie, we'll know where the Celtics lie. We'll actually see where the Boston Fleet actually end up because they'll have their playoff game. And will the Red Sox continue woes or will they get better? Because see what Chad Tracy has to bring up with them. But on the note, this has been Boston Concessions. We are an SSBN podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me on this afternoon of a Wednesday, which is completely, utterly like weird. Well, I want to truly say, I love doing this. Sitting here for an hour, just looking up certain things. It's amazing. And I thank people who have actually helped me get to where I am, been supportive, like looked up to everything and been like, oh, dude, man, every single time we talk about something sports, it's great. I want to keep that. So share with your friends, share with your colleagues, share with anybody that, doesn't want to like deal with the norm of like, people talking, all negative Boston all the time, but can hinder with a little swear every once in a while, can hinder with some flair. So that's where we are. So we're Boston Concessions. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for everything. We will talk to you guys soon. Enjoy your week. Bye-bye.